One of the sad but inevitable points of life that we will all encounter is that as we get older, the people we knew in our youth vanish away, fade away. Our parents, our friends, we either lose contact with them or they die. And the longer we live, the further the gap. Sadly, I was reminded of this all too keenly over the last few months, where my first cousin I spent quite a lot of time with as a child and lived with his mother for a time when my own mother was ill, died suddenly after a few months from a stage 4 cancer. He was coming up to retirement, being somewhat older than I am, and his doctor had told him to ease up because he was noticing he was getting a bit of a heart flutter from endless hours worked as an accountant, and his doctor noted that really he didn't need to be doing it anymore because he had plenty of money in the bank and that he should just retire basically. He was in his mid 60s, getting ready to do so, when one day, sadly, not too long after Christmas, he collapsed. Last year's Christmas, that is, of course. He collapsed at work. First, they thought he was just stress. Then they took him to hospital, scanned him after loads of other examinations, didn't show anything that could cause it. And they noticed there was a very large tumor pressing on the base of his spine, which had gone unnoticed, and it proved impossible to operate on it. At first, they tried chemotherapy, which seemed to have some limited success and reduce the size of the tumor somewhat, but this stopped working after a short time, and he became paralyzed on parts of his body and unable to speak, and slowly became weaker and weaker. For a man who was hugely active, still riding 20 or 30 miles down his bike in his 60s and partaking in loads of sports, and had always been a really sporty guy anyway, unlike me, he went from being a robust, fairly fit sort of 65-ish to basically looking like, without wishing to be offensive, like an emaciated skeleton. He slowly sort of started just sleeping more and more, and anyone who's ever sat death watch will know that's a sign that someone is approaching their mortal end. However, there's also the point of the legacy we leave behind, and my cousin leaves a legacy of numerous children who he all provided for, all gave good educations to, all of whom have solid careers, all of whom deeply regret losing him, but also now have a lifetime of memories worth carrying with them. And what we leave behind us is as important as in life. In a real sense, it's our afterlife. As long as we're remembered by someone, we're still alive in a sense.